is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and Brian and I are continuing our top 100 games of all time, the 2020 edition, and this segment is 90 through 81. So as always, bigger and better games are coming, at least from me. I mean, after your last segment, I don't know anymore. You're gonna have like, I can't think of any weird Splendor as number 2 eventually.
Oh God, Splendor. If Splendor's ever number 2, just shoot me. All right.
We're still doing it over Zoom, and all of a sudden my screen goes black, and I appear behind you. You told me to do it. All right. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So with I believe I'm number what? I'm first.
Yes.
With my number 90, which is actually new to the list, which is surprising because I totally thought it was on the list last year, but I might have played it after the fact. Oh no, it was on my list last year. Okay, cool. Well, okay, so last year it is not new to the list then.
Okay.
Last year it was 31.
Oh wow.
So and it's fallen to 90. And this is you can go ahead and show it. And that is Court of the Dead.
I want to try this one. This one
Court
looks
of the Dead
cool.
is fantastic, and one of the games that whenever I got it in, I was like, this is amazing quality. Like they left no expense when making this game, and the reason why it's fallen so much is because it's weird. I for some reason don't get it to the table, and I think the reason why is at my new house, like I have all these Calyx shelves and games all over here, and then I have some other games more on display elsewhere. So I kind of forget about it whenever I'm looking at, it's kind of it's a different faction, like 3 different faction area control game, but also somewhat semi-cooperative. Like the theme is that you're like an allegiance to death. You're what's called a mourner, and you're essentially trying to build up an army to go out and take on heaven. I mean, for lack of a better term. So basically, you're trying to gain favor within these 3 different factions, which give you, of course, special abilities if you have the favor in those. And then there's also you draft, like at the beginning of the round, you draft like these really beautiful artwork and great tarot-sized cards that give you special abilities if you pop them off. It is really good, and an area control game that doesn't take forever to actually play.
Right.
Like you collect you essentially collect coins, and that is the timer of the game. So I mean, I know a lot of other games do that, but it's scaled to the number of players. So I've played this at 2 and 3 players, and both of them felt right for that player size.
Right.
So I mean, you combine beautiful artwork with great production, with an awesome area control mechanic, with card drafting, a little bit of cutthroat nature in it. It's a great one. Like I believe that this is just kind of it. I don't think they have everything in the box, like where they could add more content to it. But I believe someone commented on one of my videos before and explained why they aren't doing anymore.
Right.
But I mean, that's fine with me. The game's great on its own. So that's my number 90, Court of the Dead.
Okay, my number 90, I was confused by it when I made this list because it has not shown up on my list ever before, but I could have swore it was on there last year, and I looked and looked and looked, and it wasn't, and that's Valhalla.
Oh, okay. All
I
right.
swore it was on there last year.
I thought this was on your list last year, too.
Yeah, I even looked on my iPad here last year just a second ago again to double check, and it's not on there. So,
yeah.
So, but anyway, this is one that is, I know it's kind of polarizing as far as the artwork. I love the artwork on this, just the
it's okay
stuff, but but this game is it's a card battling game for all intents and purposes, and you are fighting the other tribes of things, and you're trying to, as your things die, they go into your Valhalla pile, and they're worth different points and stuff. So that's how you win at the end of the game, is if you have more Valhalla points. The competitive version of this game is good. I really like the solo version of this, where you're going up against like the big, Fenrir or these other deals in it, and you're just, it's not a very difficult game, like as far as the mechanics or anything, but it's just a nice one to kind of slap on the table.
Because basically you have your row of your army essentially, and they give you dice, right? And that's so you roll dice and then basically assign like hits and who you're trying to attack, and then they have defense. And
I mean it's one of those games. It's easy as far as mechanics go, but it's just one of those nice ones to slap down. There's tons of cards in this game. There's so much content with this, and
it's cheap.
Yeah,
with all the content you get, the game is cheap, which is not. It doesn't feel cheap, like it's good production. But I will say you do get your money's worth.
Yes,
with this game.
So anyway, that's really it as far as this. It was a Kickstarter because it had come out in Poland before it came out.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's why there was so much content, because they had already ran a not a Kickstarter, but whatever they do, a crowdfunding thing over in Poland, unlocked a bunch of stuff, and then when they decided to bring it over to the rest of the world, they brought it out with all that stuff already unlocked, and then they were unlocking more stuff on top. So that's why there was just so much stuff to it. But yeah,
I want to say this designer Lucas Wozniak.
Yeah.
That was a horrible pronunciation of his name, but he's designed multiple games, but I think this might be the first one that actually got his name.
This was his first, and then he's going with the Titans, that you had brought up at one point on another list. But he does a good job, and they play test the hell out of their stuff and everything. It's just this game is kind of, either you're gonna like it or it's just gonna be kind of meh. It's just kind of depends on the deal.
Yeah. And for me, like, I don't think this was a bad game by any means, and we probably just played it with the incorrect player counts for the run through. We at 3, which I could see being kind of, but yeah, I mean, I would play it again, like at the correct player count, because I feel like 4 would probably make this game sing a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would probably be a little bit like higher, and then different combinations of expansions. But yeah. All right. My number 89 is the second deck builder that ever came into my life that I actually thoroughly enjoyed. Last year it was 41, and in 2018 it was 23.
Wow.
So apparently I don't enjoy it, actually. It's 89, so let's just delete this from the list. We're not talking about it. Move on. So Towers of the Underdark is a phenomenal deck builder, one that I wish was actually supported even more than it was. It basically got 2 expansions, which added, I believe, 4 decks total to the already. I believe there might have been 4 already, or 6. So you do have variety. But what this game is this is an area control deck builder, and before any of that was even popular, combining those kinds of ideas. And you play a faction in the Underdark, so your Drow and your whatever else is in the Underdark. I've only ever played Drow in D&D, but you are essentially building a deck that allows you to do various actions, to remove people's pieces from areas, to gather points, to be able to sabotage or assassinate or things like that. And you gather like these point tokens if you have the most in certain areas. And then also what this game does is that same. I think you said Valley of Kings was one, or Elysium, where eventually you want to get some cards into like your summoning circle in your inner circle, and then they're going to score more points that way. And some cards that you draft don't do jack shit, but if you can get them into your circle, then you're going to get they're worth a bunch of points. This was one of the first games that I was taught, because I had the biggest aversion to deck building, and then Aeon's End was shown to me, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is great. And then this one, and what they did in this was the rule book explained thematically why, when you draft a card and it goes to your discard pile, why you don't get them immediately. Thematic tie to why I went to the market and bought this item. Why don't I have it when I bought it? And it's like, well, here's the reason why. It's actually you didn't buy it in person. It's getting sent to you or whatever it is. I really like this game feels like a good, solid area control, but not cutthroat. Where it's just like you're doing things to just, hey, fuck you. Obviously, it's area control, so that's kind of par for the course. Where well, obviously this area is worth the most points. People are going to be going for it, but you also have a way that you can deck build and get a lot of points that way. So, this just has to hit the table more. In fact, I'm probably going to try and aim to get it to the table, just so I can say I played it. But yeah,
so
you haven't played this one?
No.
Oh wow, yeah. I think you would really like this. It works well at 3, surprisingly, because the board is scaled to how many players. So it's like in 2 players you only do the middle, and then at 3 players you open it up to another side, and then 4 players you use the whole board. So it's so it narrows it to where there has to be some conflict, but it's not so tight that you're really just truly dicking each other over. And of course, since you really like deck builders, yeah, I think you would like this one a lot. So
I've always wanted to try it. I just never had the opportunity.
Yeah, well, I still got it since I did a trade with an old friend of ours all those years ago. Yes. Still got it.
All right. So my number 89 is one that 2 years ago was not on the list. It was 38 last year. So it's dropped a pretty good chunk, and it's mainly just because it hasn't hit the table. I really enjoy the game, and that is Merlin.
It's funny.
Yes.
Before I was looking at so I'm subscribed on Board Game Geek.
Yes.
To a bunch of different things, and one of them were late pledges, so games that you can still late pledge. And they did a Merlin big box.
Yes.
Which I was like, did they even make expansions?
There's like one expansion, I thought. I saw that and I was like, why are they making a big box unless there was another expansion they came out with?
Maybe the big box came out with like more content. But whenever I saw that, it made me think, oh, Brad mentioned he liked this game, but does he? Yeah. You never talked about it since last Top 100, and here it is. So
and the reason it's fallen is because the board looks very busy. Like if you look at the board, but it's got this whole rondel thing, and you are trying to you have knights, and you're moving these knights around in this circle that has all these actions on it. And it's got dice placement and all this different stuff as well. But then there's a Merlin pawn that's out there as well that you can control. So like the knights can only go one direction, but Merlin can go either direction. And you could choose to move Merlin if you want to try to hose people or do whatever. And you're just trying to, it's pretty much an efficiency Euro game, which most Euros are, obviously. But
Stefan Feld, right?
Yes. Yeah. But so you're trying to get victory points, and the theme, if there is such a thing, is Merlin is trying to find, or King Arthur is trying to find his successor, and so you're so like the winner, whoever gets the most points is worthy and all this jazz. But the thing that's cool is that whole rondel aspect and having Merlin on there and kind of going around and figuring out what actions you need to choose and what dice to put down and stuff. It's a thinky game, and I only have the base game. There's I can't remember what the name of the expansion is, but then I saw there's that big box, and I have no idea. I haven't bought any of it because nobody else around here will play it. So that's why.
Does it have a solo? Probably not.
Not that I know of, unless it's a variant.
Okay.
So that's why it just doesn't hit. I know this, and plus this one was really popular. Like, it was one of those ones that was hard to get when it first came out. People were jumping all over it, and then you really don't hear a whole lot about it anymore.
I'd like to try this one. Stefan Feld
it's a good one.
Is an interesting designer. I've seen more of his videos as run-throughs, and then I've personally played. The only game I've actually physically played is in the Year of the Dragon, which is not great at 2. But the genius behind his design. This is a game that I want to try, and I feel that that's going to be a theme. We're going to say, oh, I need to try this one, and so I have now started a notepad list.
That's good. I should have been doing that,
because every year we always go, oh, let's try that, and then whenever you come up to physically play stuff, then it's like, oh, what game should I bring? And I'm like, I don't know. None. Yeah. So making the list right here.
I'll have you add to the list if there's something that, like, you could write Tyrants down.
I did. I put Court of the Dead, Tyrants of the Underdark, Valley of Kings, and Merlin.
There you go. Good so far.
So
anyway, that's my 89, a nice solid. Oh, add Francis Drake to that list from last video.
Oh, yeah.
Because that would be a good one.
Let's talk about other games other than your than your 89.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Yeah, this looks pretty interesting. I'm huge. I really like busy boards. Like, I think busy Euros have just as much table presence as, grandiose miniatures in Ameritrash games. So that might not be a good thing. People might look at it and be like, oh no, but they look cool to me. So all right. My number 88 actually went up. Yeah. The first game of the list to have gone up. Last year it was 87. Wait. No, and I lied. It did go up, but I forgot it. I added a game after I made this list to it. So no, it went down by 1. Fuck this list. It went down by 1. And in 2018, it was 77. So I don't want to play anymore. All right, you gotta highlight that red. You can go ahead and go. So, and that is Hunt for the Ring. So, literally, it dropped by 1 point.
Right.
I think this is a really fun hidden movement game, and a unique one at that, because there's the 2 phases. If you're not familiar, Hunt for the Ring it's a hidden movement. In the first phase, you play what the one person plays as, Frodo and company, and then the other people play as the ring race, so they're trying to find Frodo. Then the first half is them trying to get to, to that place in the books. I wouldn't say the Prancing Pony, but I'm pretty sure that there's actually the title of it. Anyway, they're trying to get to a certain section. And then, to Bree. You're moving from the Shire to Bree. And basically, you'll gain corruption along the way, and that's going to influence, basically, how the second half starts for them as well. But the second half is what really makes this game interesting. Yeah, the first part is your standard hidden movement, special abilities of players, and of the ring race and things like that. But the second half is where the hidden person actually basically draws cards and picks a standard path for Frodo to go. And that's the way he is going to move. So you can't, basically it's the card, okay, Frodo's going this route. But what the hidden person then does is he's playing as Gandalf, And Gandalf is the hidden movement person. He's the one that runs around and is manipulating how the ring race moves. So if they come in, he can do special abilities to make them move separately. So it's kind of a deduction on the other players for them to decide, wait a minute, like, okay, is this Frodo or is this Gandalf? Because they both will trigger as if it's them. So if they're like, hey, okay, are you here? Are you in space 80? And you could say yes, but they don't know if that's actually Gandalf or Frodo. Right. So it's a really cool idea. And what makes this even better, what has basically made this stay on my list for the past, 2 years since it came out. Well, actually, I don't know if it came out in 2017. It was, well, I don't want to look. So it is that it continues into War of the Ring. They have actual rules on. They're not like amazing rules or anything, but it's like, okay, how corrupted Frodo is kind of how he starts at the beginning of War of the Ring, which I think is great. You could play both of these and have a huge war, like Lord of the Rings board game day. So I like this one. I like this one a lot. It's not my favorite hidden movement. It's still a blast to play. So that's my number 88.
All right. I'm going to stay on the dry Euro theme with another Stefan Feld game. This one was not on my list 2 years ago. It was just barely missed. It was 106 last year.
Okay.
And that is Amerigo.
Wow.
This
is this
one
with the dice tower or the cube tower?
It's the cube tower, yeah. This one uses the same kind of cube tower like what Wallenstein and stuff like that had. Okay. Pretty much what you're doing in this, it's Amerigo Vespucci. You're exploring the world, and stuff. But what happens is there's 7 different colors of cubes, and each color means a different action that you can take. So at the beginning of the game, you seed the tower with a bunch of cubes, and then as you go, you'll be dropping cubes in, and then whatever comes out will be what actions you are able to take on your turn.
Ooh, I like that.
So some of them will get stuck in there, whatever. So you may get movement cubes, or you may get attack cubes, or whatever. But what you're doing is you are, depending on the player count, will depend on how many tiles of the world are out. So in a 2-player game, you're not going to have a crap ton of tiles. But what you're doing is you're sailing your ships around, and you're landing on these islands, and you're doing different actions. So you can build cannons on your island to protect your island from pirate type stuff or enemies, or you can build different buildings to do different stuff. But it's typical Stefan Feld. It's a point salad. You're going to get points for everything, but the cool part of it is that cube tower and not knowing exactly what actions you're going to have available to you on your turn after you drop stuff in and stuff pops out.
That could either be, for me, really interesting, kind of like, we were just talking about Hunt for the Ring, but War of the Ring, how you roll dice, and that's kind of the actions you can do. Similar idea here. It's like that could either be really fun, and it's like, oh man, okay, like what actions did I get this time? Or it could be really frustrating where it's like, oh great, okay, you get that color cube, so that's the one I made.
And that was always a big worry on this one with me. But Stefan Feld, you will get points every single turn. There's always something for you to do, even if you don't get necessarily the actions that fits your game plan. There's always going to be stuff for you to do to get points and stuff. So this one is another one of those pretty cool Euro style,
Now, was this? This came out in 2013. You're an older one. Old. I guess Merlin was 2017. So
yeah, I just got this one last year. So
okay. Now, was this? I feel like I heard that the cube tower wasn't that great. Was that this one where it's like
what early versions weren't? The version I bought, I think they had adjusted a little bit because I don't have any issues with mine.
Okay.
So I think they may have fixed it a little bit in other, printings. But
Here's
no,
what I gotta say though.
Yeah.
That guy is ugly as hell on that box cover.
Yeah, it's again,
That's the lumpiest face I have seen.
If you look at the board for this game, again, it's another one of those super dry looking things, but
yeah,
but it's a good solid Euro if you're in a mood for a good classic
I'd
Euro.
be down. I mean, I remember. I want to say it's not on my list, and it's a game that I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to try and buy it, but I trigger on it, and it's El Grande.
Yes,
Which is
that's
in
a
the
good one,
similar
too.
vein of this with the Cube Tower as well, but for I think a different reason. But it's just like, man, games back then. I think those would be into Euros if they didn't look like brown, just shit. Like it's just like put some color in your game.
Yeah, that's one of the
But
things that changed over these last few years.
over the years, yeah, it's like someone had a eureka moment where they're like, wait a minute, everyone seems to like Euros. Oh, what if we actually put theme on them? Why is it always trading in the Mediterranean?
Right.
But yeah, so this is on the list of games to try.
Okay.
I think I would like this one.
Yeah, it's a solid one
My
for sure.
tastes have changed. All right, are we ready for my number 87?
Yep.
Now my 87 has moved up. I have officially checked it. Like it's right there. I can even see where it was. It was 89 last year, so it went up by 2.
There
And
you go.
it was 68 in 2018, so it's fallen a little bit. But it's a game you don't like, for whatever reason, or maybe your wife doesn't like it. I don't know. It is Santorini.
Yes.
So was this one that you didn't like, or that Amy didn't like, or both didn't like?
Neither one of us liked it.
Oh, okay. Well, we think it's fantastic. Kat and I do. We think this is a awesome puzzly 2-player game with asymmetrical player powers. Lavish production. Like this was one when it came out, everyone was like, "This has no right to have," as like it went above and beyond on what this game could be for production. But we love it. We love the kind of like the chess kind of feel of you trying to build up and get your workers, not your workers, your miniature to the top of a tower. But like because whenever you're playing, you can only build or you can only move up one level, but you can build any number of levels. So it's like trying to manipulate and build in a way that your opponent can't quite block you immediately, so you can slowly start making your way to try and get to the top. Coupled with the individual player powers that the designers themselves in the rule book have mentioned. By the way, if you're playing with this power, don't play with this one. Like they mentioned good pairings for the game, which I will say I wish that they had balanced it a little bit where all of them could be played together instead of them coming out later and being like, oh, these don't work. It's just like, well, you kind of should have tried that anyway. But I'll take what I can get. At least it's not, hey, here's what you get, and then people find out that they're broken, and then the designers are like, oh, well. So at least you have some idea when going to play. I mean, I would never play this game without the player powers. They're so much fun trying to figure out how to overcome there's a character named Atlas. He can put a blue blue topper on any level. So he's just a huge like block blocker, but at the same time it's like
an asshole.
Yeah, he's an asshole, yeah. And the thing is, it's like he could do that the entire game, but he's not gonna win. So eventually you have to decide, like, okay, like have I blocked you enough? When do you use the power? I really like this one. So, and this is a game that in a 1v1 that it goes back and forth between who's winning between Kat and I. And she also really hates Atlas at the same time. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what the New York brings.
I will try the New York one for sure.
Like that was supposed to. Is that next year? I think it
think
is.
so. I think it's a 2021. So
Okay. Board Game Geek has it at 2020, but I mean, yeah, I am excited to see what they do. I hope it's different enough that it's not literally this, but in New York. I mean, the game looks really pretty.
I've heard it's a
Like,
lot more strategic. Like there's a lot more decisions to be made and stuff. It's more of
Okay.
they're calling it a gamer version of
Okay.
Santorini. So I
It
don't
kind
know.
of looks like it based off the pictures. It looks like there's more building types you can build than
Right.
just the, your Santorini white and blue.
Right.
So this game has, by itself has made me want to go to that island because like if you look at pictures of Santorini, it's white and blue.
Well, and I'll tell you is I don't like the game, but the production of all the components and stuff are just top notch. It's awesome looking on the table.
Yeah, the 3D element of the board, coupled with the actual, building pieces. Yeah, it's a good one. So that's my 87, Santorini.
All right. My number 87 is new to my list.
All right.
And it is Sorcerer City. We've talked about this game a few times on other lists and stuff, but it's kind of got a unique look. It's a tile laying game with a time crunch aspect to it. And
there's no hold on. There's no reason to beat around the bush. The game looks like shit.
The tiles, it's weird. I don't know why I don't know why they went that, other than the fact of just trying to make it, since it is a time game, like making it easier when they see the color districts and stuff. I think they just did it the colors to try to make it easier.
I do think they went for practicality over substance, I guess.
The cool thing,
I mean, it probably makes sense.
Yeah. The Kickstarter version that I have, has all the metal coins and stuff, and with the metal coins they did really cool because they're all different shapes, all the denominations of money, but they all stack into each other. So like,
that's nice.
It's kind of a neat little feature and stuff. But so pretty much, when you speed build out your city, you're going to gain points, but there's also monsters that can jump in and attack your districts and stuff that pop up. You'll gain tiles, and then this game is 5 rounds, and it's whoever has the most points after each round. You're going to have more tiles, so you got to build out faster and do different stuff. And this was another one of those. I'm not a real-time fan, but this one's not bad because I think the colors help somebody like me, just because it's easier to connect those colors on the tiles the way they are. But this one, it's got its fans. You could probably find people have been selling it like crazy too. It's kind of a hit and miss style of game. It's another one of those Scott Caputo games.
Caputo.
But Druid City,
it's funny.
did this. So like Druid City did this, and then same with they did Title Blades and all that stuff.
Those stacked coins, man, those are sexy.
Yeah, they're really neat. It's just they really don't serve much of a point. I mean, they're there just strictly for looks. It's not like I mean, but they're kind of neat,
I mean, it looks. I mean, from the pictures, the box insert looks great. It looks like the production was through the roof. So they had to have gone. Yeah, like they had to have made the conscious decision to be like, look, it's real time tile laying where you're making groups of colors. We got to make it easy.
Well, and it makes it easier to tell your districts because the colors are different districts. So you're trying to.
Right. Now, is the real time, like, because there's 2 types of real time. There's like the crunch aspect of like Captain Sonar or like Escape, where you're constantly doing stuff. Or there's the real time like Millennium Blades, where Yeah, it's real time, but you have a lot of time to actually do it. What's this one feel
This
like?
is not very much time. You have a certain amount of time to get your
Okay.
tiles laid out.
Okay.
So you have a little stack of tiles that'll be face down. You'll know what's in
Okay.
there because you'll have accumulated stuff from the round before, but they're all mixed up. And then
Okay.
you have to get them laid out as quick, really fast.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's a solid game. It has the solo mode's fun as well. So another reason why I've kept it is because the solo mode is pretty solid.
All right.
So anyway, that's my 87, Sorcerer City.
Cool. My 86 is also new to my list in a game that came out in 2020, similar to Sorcerer City. And it's actually a one versus many game that I was pleasantly surprised that I liked it as much as I did. And that is Dark Rituals Malleus Maleficarum.
I want to try this one. This one looks badass.
It is so badass. This art, well, let me add it to the list. I mean, this one, like, because here's the thing with miniature games, for me now. When I get them in, like, I'll back them, and then I'll be like, yeah, this is gonna be awesome. When I get it in, then I'm kind of overwhelmed. I'm like, oh god, okay, I have to find a way to store this, and I have to. It's gonna be, not fiddly to play, or it could be, but it's like to set up because now I have to have all these minis and different bags, and no one makes storage solutions for these games. So when I set this up, I was like, all right, what's it going to be? Then I'm reading the rule book and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. This is one versus many. I haven't played a game like this in a long time. This one is fantastic. It does that witch theme so it's not like demons or anything. It's just creations from witches. So one person is playing different witches and the other people are playing the hunters. And there's a bunch of different hunters. One of the stretch goals was Geralt of Rivia from The Witcher, so that's just cool. But it does a balancing scenario system that I enjoy very much. Like, it has a very similar idea to Level 7 Omega Protocol or Stronghold, in that there's you basically have resources, but it's not tied to each other in the way where it's like the more I do, the more you get to do. But it's more of like each character has tokens. And so it's like, oh, I want to move. That costs 1 stamina. I want to attack. Well, my weapon tells me how much stamina that is. I want to defend. That costs stamina. And where the witch player, they have a pool of stamina tokens and they can decide, okay, who do I want to use? Who do I want to activate at any point in time? And the players have an individual, okay, this is that character's stamina pool. Well, what's interesting is you might think, oh, well, that's busted. The witch has more control over anything they can do. However, the heroes have a larger combined pool. I think they have like 40 in total, and like the witch has like 34. So they have 6 more total stamina. But I believe that this is extremely balanced. The heroes have like their own alchemy tablet. That's their special abilities that they'll go through the map collecting, picking up like resources to then spend on like alchemy potions and special abilities. Like, for example, there's plague cards that the witch can play, which permanently drain the heroes of stamina, but the plague doctor has a higher level alchemy ability that he can just remove those. Normally you have to kill the witch who summoned it, but he can just actually get rid of those. So that's the uniqueness of each character. It's a scenario driven campaign where you like abilities and stuff don't carry over from scenario to scenario, so it's narratively connected, which is fine with me. But they do have like a victory point thing. If one person wins, then they have a certain number of victory points that they can spend,
right,
from round to round. I am blown away by how much fun that I've had with this game. Yeah, it seems like the heroes have their backs pressed against the wall, but it's not like the others seven sins where it's like it feels virtually impossible. Like it's great. I'm pleasantly surprised with this one.
Who made this? Is this their first game, the company, or anything?
That's a good question. question. Dark Rituals. It is Darkgate Games.
Okay, so yeah, probably just
They did one called The Order of Vampire Hunters that
Huh.
came out in 2018, and I feel like I've been seeing people selling that recently.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kind of want to check it out. I mean, Dark Rituals has a 8.1 right now on Board Game Geek. I gave it an 8 as well. And then The Order of Vampire Hunters has a 7.6, so
Yeah,
that's not bad. I wonder if it's the same designer.
Yeah.
So Order of Vampire Hunters is Filippo Chirico, and then Dark Rituals is the same guy.
Oh, that's cool.
So
yeah, that'll be a neat one to try.
I might have to check out that Order of Vampire Hunters, because I mean I'm so tired of freaking demons and Christian shit that it was a breath of fresh air to have the the witch theme.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, really like this one. So that's my 86.
All right, my number 86 has been on my list the last couple of years. It was 37 2 years ago. It was 80 last year, so it's more or less in the same spot. It went down a few, and that is Touch of Evil Dark Gothic deck building game. This one is your typical deck building mechanics. You buy stuff, it goes in your discard pile. There's nothing special as far as that goes. This is a competitive. So you're going to have a row of your stuff, and it's out in the middle of the table, and it's going to have like items or allies or monsters that are going to pop out. The unique thing about this game is most deck builders have two currencies, like either you're getting a stuff that'll help you buy things or stuff that'll help you attack things. This one has 3 different currencies, so which is like strength, lore, and
I think the Touch of
that.
Evil games had that as right, the 3 different.
But having those 3 aspects, like some of the cards that you buy, like if there's a really cool card out there, it may be 2 blue, 2 green, 2 red, to buy it. So you may have to give up a lot of cards in your hand just to get that one card, so it's kind of a deal. But the overall arcing theme of this is you're buying stuff, killing stuff to make you more powerful, make your deck better. But you choose, I think, 3 monsters that will be who you're trying to defeat to end the game. And they have these powers, so they'll set over here, and that you go through and take them out as you're going through the deal as well, and then their victory points and all that jazz. It's your typical. It's loaded with flying frog art, whether you like it or not.
It's funny that you say that, because I was looking at the bottom and I was like, art by Jack Scott Hill. What art? There's no art in the game. It's literally, did he take the pictures?
Maybe it's the box cover, because the box cover looks drawn. Well, and then the monster cards are drawn too. They're not.
Oh, okay. So, okay. Thank God.
Yeah.
Could you imagine those monsters as people in suits?
But no, this was one because it has a solo variant that I've tried once. But if again, this is one of those things. If you get this, you probably need to get the Colonial Horror expansion. It's another big box that just almost doubles your amount of cards, so you got more choices and more everything. But you'll choose a character to control that has their own special starting hand or starting deck of cards and stuff, and that's how you kind of go through as well. You may want to pick somebody that's got more strength, so they're going to have more strength cards in their deal to be able to handle, so they can't really deal with the lore stuff maybe as well. It's just kind of it's a unique one in the fact that it has the 3 different currencies. So
So with this one, with the 3 different, have you played Volfirion?
No.
Okay, we'll have to try that one, because that's a 1v1 game that has more than just 2 resources and has a little bit more to the deck building idea.
Right.
And the other one that kind of reminds me, because I know you have tried it. I don't know if it's on your top 100, but the Dark Souls card game.
Yes.
Did you? I mean, I guess spoilers, but did that make your top 100?
No, it was
Okay.
it was on. It was in the consideration, but it didn't quite
Gotcha.
make it because I hadn't played it a ton. I just
Sure.
borrowed yours, and
That's right.
you
Oh,
know,
and it's like super expensive to get for
yeah.
parts. Yeah. You're paying for that IP. Thanks, Steam Forge. Okay. Well, if you like this one, then the Dark Souls card game has different resources that you spend when you're deck building, and then Volfeurion. That's a
Right.
more traditional deck builder. But okay, cool. I don't think I like Flying Frog. I can't.
I love Flying Frog.
In my younger days, I pined for their games. Now I'm just like, this is weird. This is like weird games.
Well, I have their 10th anniversary, A Touch of Evil, big coffin box back there behind me that has all those minis and all that cool stuff.
I want to like their games more than I end up liking them.
I go into them.
All right.
You can't go into them serious. They're fun, like
they're very campy,
right?
But it's like you have to have the campy mindset, but also just their roll to move, their old ass mechanics. I don't know. They just don't do it for me. But 85. My 85 went up. Yay! Last year it was 98, so it almost fell off the list. And then in 2018 it was 82. So it's kind of hovered around this area. And that is boom, Deception, Murder in Hong Kong. It's a phenomenal hidden traitor game, I guess. I'm drawing the blank on the actual idea of what this game is, but essentially a social deduction. That's it.
Yeah.
And you, as a group, one person is the murderer and another person is the forensic scientist. And the forensic scientist knows who the murderer is, but he can only give clues based off certain tile cards that come out that he can put, like, okay, so at the beginning of the game, everyone gets set up with 2 rows of cards, and it's like they're just basically, I think it's like items and ways of death, like, and the murderer secretly picks one from each row. And the forensic scientist knows what 2 he picked. So whenever he's giving clues, he's trying to give clues that closely resemble the 2 cards that were picked. And the rest of the players are looking at all the clues and they're like, okay, well, who out of everyone here has items that represent those clues? And the murderer is also in that delineation, like being able to be like, oh, well, that person, so they're trying to draw the suspicion away from them without it being too obvious that they're trying to draw the suspicion away. And this one's just a blast. It's so much fun.
It's difficult.
It is hard because each person only gets one guess. And whenever they guess, they have to pick 2 items, cards, and they both have to be right, meaning that if I did, butt plug and strangulation, it's like if I butt plug, or if someone guesses butt plug and not strangulation, then the forensic scientist has to say no. And so it is a very hard game to try and figure out who the person in it was. And I have the expansion, but man, I have never tried because I never have enough people to actually give it a shot. And that expansion assigns 1 more cards, but also roles that people can play. So
yeah,
this is a great one. Like the games are so short anyway that it's like, if you don't get it, then it's like, oh, well, let's try it again and see if we can figure it out. So this is a good one. So that's my 85, Deception, Murder in Hong Kong.
All right. My 85 has always been on my list since we've started. And it was 57 2 years ago, and it was 83 last year. So pretty close to the same.
Yeah.
That is Gravwell.
That's a cool art cover.
I have the original art cover. This was
not as cool.
but
It's
but yeah, this game is a super I'd call it a lighthearted type
mm,
of game. I mean, you can't take this too seriously because it deals with gravity, and you're constantly like a tug of war of going back and forth, because all the ships start in the center of this big spiral board. And your objective is to be the first ship to get all the way outside of the spiral and
yeah,
leave Gravwell. Um, and there are derelict ships that are sitting out around there. And when you draft cards, you will draft these cards, and you'll play one face down. Everybody reveals. They fire off in alphabetical order. And then the majority of the cards are going to be pulling you towards the closest thing to you. There are some cards that repel, so it will push you away from the closest thing to you. And then there's the tractor beam cards, which pull everything towards you. So you're playing these cards, but you got to have to time it right, because if you just start playing the big cards and you're way out in front, there's not very many repel cards. So if you are way out in front and the only card you have is one that's going to pull you towards the closest, it's going to pull you backwards.
right.
Other people can kind of hose you too, in that if your card doesn't fire off before theirs, they may jump and cause you to actually move backwards instead of forward.
Yep.
Everybody has an emergency stop card that's a one time per round use, that they can cancel their card so they don't have to move one way or the other. But it's just a simple, you draft the cards, you play the cards, you go through, and you just bounce around. It's just lighthearted, hilarious sometimes, because you just get so screwed over sometimes.
Right.
The games don't take very long at all, and
Yeah.
it's just
This
a
one,
fun experience.
yeah, this one is pretty fun. I think what people end up not liking about it is the fact that the art cover looks so different than what the game actually is.
Right.
Like,
Well, that's why the old box cover matches the game better, I think.
Yeah. I mean, this one looks really cool, but yeah, like
Yeah.
the board's literally just like a spiral.
Yep.
But yeah, I think this one's pretty fun. All right. My number 84 also went up, and this one actually surprised me at how high it's been, or how where it landed in the in this list. So last year it was 97, so one above Deception, also almost on its way out, and then in 2018 it was 86, so it's gone
There you go.
since both years. That is Whiz War. So Whiz War, man, this one just does it for me. This is like one of my beer and pretzel games. I think they're actually coming out with a new edition, a ninth edition. I'm almost 100% sure that they're making the ninth edition. So if you don't know, Whiz War is a game where you are it's like a battle arena. Like it looks like a maze. Yeah, ninth edition this year. Anyway, so you have a miniature of your wizard, and you're moving throughout this maze to try and either capture people's chests and bring them back to your starting area, or to kill the opposing wizards. And the first person to 2 points wins. The difference is, if you kill a wizard, then you get a permanent point, and then if you take their treasure, it's a temporary point because people can take it back. What makes this game super fun is all the different decks that can be thrown in to this game. Like, there, with 2 expansions, there's like 20 different schools or something, to where you can combine them into, this is what is in our arsenal, and everyone's drawing from this deck. So they have energy cards, which boost spells by a lot more. There's just wacky different types of spells, like one's called Wall of War, which you can eat a wall, which heals you, but also you place like a broken wall token, so now people can move through that area from space to space. Teleportation, of course. There's area of effect. There's items you can summon. There's cards that transmutate you, so you can become like a werewolf or something that
Right.
give you, and you can replace your mini with that werewolf mini for the time being. Because each spell, if it's not instant, then it has a effect. But those energy cards can boost that. So if I play like the one that turns me into a werewolf and it would last 2 rounds, but I have an energy card of 6, it actually lasts 6 rounds. It's just so much fun. I think this game is, yeah, I mean, like, it's this classic game from Magical Mayhem, and that's exactly what it is. I have a blast playing this. Like, a prime example of this game, and what makes it so much fun to me is I was playing this. It's been a while actually since I even touched it, so the fact that it's this high up just shows how much I like it. But I remember one time I was in a section surrounded by 3 walls, and a friend of mine made a card that he could summon a wall anywhere. So basically, I was trapped in that section. And you can destroy walls, you can attack them, blow them up, so you're not permanently trapped the whole game. But I remember he did that, and he's just like, "All right, deal." I'm like, "Okay." And then I played a card that swapped position, so I put him in there, and then I was out. And I remember he was just cracking up at the hilarity of it. And that's just that example of what this game is. So not to be taken seriously at all. But what's interesting is actually this is done by Fantasy Flight. The 9th edition is not.
Isn't
It's
it
done by
Whiz
Steve
Kids or
Jackson.
something? Oh, Steve Jackson. That's right. I knew
Jackson
it was
Games. So Fantasy Flight, they're losing a lot of their IPs.
I think if it's not Star Wars or Arkham,
Rings or Arkham.
Marvel, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, they have big names like, yeah, Arkham Horror, Star Wars, Marvel, Lord of the Rings. Those are huge. But yeah, like they used to have their name on so many different projects. And it's actually kind of depressing to see that, oh, they don't have this anymore. They don't have this anymore. But like, I mean, at least someone has it, which is good. Good for the consumer, bad for.
That's what happens when you jump in bed with Asmodee.
I guess so. Yeah, no one wants to be under them. So, but yeah, I'm not gonna get 9th edition. Like, I have no interest. Steve Jackson Games also does Munchkin, so I'm worried that this game might become Magic Munchkin.
I've never played this game.
I don't know if you would like it. I don't know. Like, maybe in the right headspace, this game is fun. Because yeah, you cannot take it seriously. Otherwise, you're gonna be some. I remember also another story is that Kat was almost winning. She had like 1 permanent point, and she was on her way carrying a treasure chest. She was like 3 spaces away from her starting spot. But the game also has portals that allow you to kind of hop around the map.
Right.
And you can attack through those portals. And I remember I was right next to one and shot a lightning bolt through it, and it hit Kat as she was right there and killed her. So I was like, I win. And she's like, why don't you ever let me win? And I'm like, I don't let anyone win. Like, it's not, what hollow victory is that? So, love this game. 84. It'll probably stay around this area though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see it going up into like the 50s or anything.
All right. My 84 was 81 2 years ago, 71 last year, and back down to 84. And it's mainly because I just haven't played it a whole lot lately. And that is Culture Essential Edition.
Come on, man.
Oh, I need to play it more. It's a great game. It just doesn't hit the table.
Yeah.
But this is the wine making game, the only wine making game I've played. I haven't played Vinos or any of those, but this one is I mainly jumped on this one because it had the cool solo mode, and all that stuff, with it being the Stonemaier game, obviously.
Yeah, actually, Automa came from Viticulture.
It started there,
the first game.
Yeah. But yeah, pretty much. I mean, I don't I have the Tuscany expansion too, and there's a few of the stuff that I use out of that as well. But pretty much, this is an efficiency game. You're trying to grow your grape, make your wines, sell it off, do all this different stuff, and it's the theme. I don't care for the theme necessarily. It's just a really good quality game as far as mechanically and stuff like that. I prefer the theme of like Euphoria and stuff like that over this, but this is such a classic game. And so it's such a pretty game when you have it all out on the table with all the nice, you have your metal money and you have all your cool stuff. This will be one. It'll probably always be on the list just because it has such a good solo mode. It looks like it'll probably stay around this area unless I start getting it played with multiplayer a lot more and get stuff. But it's hard to get a game that has this kind of a box cover to the table with people that aren't big gamers,
Yeah. I absolutely love this game, and I really like the theme. In fact, I had this one, and every time once I started getting into Vita Lasarda games, I was like, why do I need Vinos? Like, I mean, I have this one. It's probably going to translate the same way in terms of theme, but I had to get every Vita game. This is the Essential Edition is exactly that. You have to have this copy. With it adding the fall season. Just makes it just also makes more sense. It's like for some reason they were always there, but you never actually had worker placement spots to actually go. Now you do, and so I will never not play with that board. And then they have a few other module expansions in the Essential Edition that you don't always have to play with, but the board is definitely one of them. So I haven't actually tried the solo for this game, surprisingly.
It's pretty solid. I'm trying to compare it to the other stuff. I would say because
I really liked
of the Stonemaier games, it's probably one of the best solo of the Stonemaier stuff. Now I haven't tried like Wingspan, and I haven't tried Scythe. But I did Euphoria.
I didn't like Euphoria's.
Yeah, it wasn't super good, but this one plays really well solo. I mean, it's a good experience. I think you would like it.
Cool. Yeah. Funny enough, I actually don't have this as a run through on the channel, so I don't know why I need to. So, all right, good game. All right, my number 3 is a game that you tried, but I might add it to my list. You can tell me whenever I talk about it. But last year it was 66, and the year before that was 43. So it is continuously dropping. But I'm pretty sure I'll always have it on my list, and that is Alchemist, one of CGE's earlier games that I've had in my collection almost since the beginning. So. Alchemist is a game where it's a deduction game where you are trying to find alchemical symbols for different ingredients, publish your theories, and then gain points off correct theories. And this was one of the first games that utilizes the app or app integration where you can scan the cards and it tells you, oh, okay, this is a plus blue, and then this item is a minus red, and you're like, or these combinations of cards are this. And so you have a pad that will have all these different combinations of the alchemical symbols, and there's 3 types: red, blue, and green, and they can either be plus or minus or technically neutral, which means they just kind of cancel each other out. Right. Now, whenever you get an item, like your sheet will have all the ingredients, and if you're like, okay, well, I did crow's feet and cat nipple, and I combined those, and that's a plus red. And so then you look at your sheet and you're like, oh, okay, so therefore all for these ingredients, all the ones that show minus red, it can't be it. And over time you eventually will figure it out, and you publish your theories. You can also go out on a limb and be like, I don't quite know it, but I'm gonna guess. And people because you have to publicly be like, hey, this is what it is, and people who have done a little bit more research can look and be like, that's actually like, and they can just dispute it, and you'll lose like population or popularity. You lose population, they kill you. You lose popularity, and they'll gain some. But it's a worker placement spot. You can gain points for selling to different heroes who are coming in. It's also CGE, so it is hilarious in their rule book. This is solid. I very much enjoy it. The expansion, not so much. The expansion was, let me put it this way. If you have only ever played this game over and over and over and over, and you could look at two combinations, even though the app is randomly generated, but you've memorized that app, then I would say the expansion is worth it, because that King's Golem was insane. Like, I was sitting there and I'm like, I had to play a faux game by myself to figure out how the King's Golem idea worked. And then that's the only way I could teach it to people. I mean, I'm pretty sure I have how to play on this game, so if I were to ever play with the King, and I'd have to probably go back and be like, all right, hopefully I did a good enough job to remind myself how it works. But base game is good enough. So
that cover cracks me up. Like everybody's looking at that potion. Like all the things.
I know, right? They're like, what the fuck are you putting here? Oh yeah, they are. Even the skull.
Yeah, the skull looking over there. Everything's looking.
That is funny. And then, well, it's funny because you can test the effects of your potions, and you can do it on yourself for free. But if you can get paralyzed, which means you have to go last in bidding in turn order. But you can also pay an intern to do it to figure out what it does. And because you basically fucked over everyone, so you have to give them some incentive.
Yeah.
This is also one of my favorite turn order idea games, is that players can decide, okay, I want to go first, but I don't get a benefit, or I can go later and gain this benefit. So I always like that decision in games. And here with CGE, they made it, thematic, like reasoning, like, oh, okay, well, if you go first, you're going to get picking order on what ingredients are available. And if you go last, the thematic tying is that, well, you woke up later than everyone, so the ingredients you don't have, you get whatever's left over. Right. This is a good one. Obviously it's 83 on my list, and I mean, it has been declining. That's just because other games. That's really what it is.
Yep.
So.
All right.
Want me to add this to the list, or do you not have a?
Nah.
It's okay, Brad. You just like simple games.
I do, and my 83 is one of those. My 83 is a party game that is super fast, super fun. I've played it with all ages. It was 82 2 years ago, 75 last year, and it's back to 83, so it's kind of in that same area. And that's King of Tokyo. This one,
you're right. This is as simple as you can get.
This one is just super fun to have. Like I've used it in my classroom. I've used it and stuff because they just roll dice. You just hit people. I mean, a game can last no time at all, and if you get the power up expansion, it makes each of the monsters more specialized in their own powers. I like this one better than King of New York, because King of New York almost has too much stuff. It just convolutes the game too much. This is just one of those that you just kind of have with you. It's super easy to set up. You just set out there, roll dice, go. I mean, that's pretty much all it is to it. And like I said, it works for any age. I mean, if you non-gamers, gamers, whatever, this game's super easy to understand and very accessible. So That's really all there is to it. I mean,
Yep.
most people have played this, and it cracks me up that it's Richard Garfield. That
I
that
know. Like maybe he didn't actually do anything. They just illegally put his name on it.
I don't know. I think he just branches out. Maybe he got tired of magic, and he was just like, maybe I'll just
He's
throw
like
some.
he's like,
But
God, the community for Magic is toxic as hell. I want to make a fun
yeah,
party monster mash.
so it's
I
good for
want
what it is.
I want a game like this that actually has some substance to
Well,
it.
you
I
need
feel like this could be a
maybe you should try New York. I have
maybe.
King of New York because it King of New York is more of a gamery version of this game. You're still
Yeah.
doing kind of the same stuff, but there's like army. There'll be like army encampments out, and you get to destroy like their tanks and do different stuff to gain more victory
Yeah.
points and do different stuff. So, I mean, maybe you would enjoy that one more just because it has more decisions. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I mean,
so
like I said, I'll try any game like
yeah,
fun. And here's the thing. This game is fun. It's just not for me.
right,
Like I don't know. Like it's so weird. Like normally, if it comes to like, because a lot of people are like, oh, at the end of a long day of work, I want to play some lighthearted game, or we just got done playing a bunch of heavier games. I want to play a simpler one. As of right now, my mind doesn't work that way. It's like, oh, I'm in a heavy mindset mode. That's what I want to keep playing.
right.
So maybe these games I have to start out with and then move up.
Well, and
Uh,
just all depends on the situation too, because like
yeah,
when you have kids and or if
true.
your job, like with me teaching, and I have stuff like this, I'm out around kids all the time and stuff. This is the kind of
Yeah,
I have to have these kind of things in my collection to be able to have, for those kind of
right.
kids and stuff. But
True.
but anyway, my 83 King of Tokyo. I do think you'd like King of New York better than this one though, so we could try it
Okay.
at some point.
All right.
Um,
Neat.
yep. So that's it.
All right. My two has been on the list probably since forever. And last year it was 81, so it dropped one spot back. And then in 2018 it was 63. And that is the other hidden movement game that I have on this list. And that is Letters from Whitechapel. So, yeah, Letters from Whitechapel I think, in my collection forever. Once again, Fantasy Flight, who doesn't make anything that's not IP. But at one point, Fantasy Flight was the publisher to be reckoned with. And yeah, this is a fantastic hidden movement game. I like this one a lot. One, I love this theme, the Jack the Ripper. I don't know. It's very intriguing to me at that time, and all the fuck ups that the police department did to never catch it. And granted, it was an era where they couldn't. They just like, you pretty much had to catch the guy in the act before you could do anything because there was no forensic evidence or anything. But if you don't know, one person plays Jack the Ripper. They pick a number on the board as their hideout, and then there's certain spots where the prostitutes are location, and they pick one of those spots, and they have to make it to their hideout in around 15 turns. They have two special abilities. One is a carriage that allows them to move 2 spaces and lets them move past the police officers. And then the other one is an alley that lets them cut across. There's like building sections, so cut across to another spot that way. The other players play the police officers, who in the expansion they have special abilities, but in base game, it's just they have 5 to Jack's 1. They move around the board. They can block him because Jack typically cannot move past them. And I mean, unless someone's incredibly poorly, you're not going to catch Jack right. I wouldn't say at least in the first night, but what's good about the game is there's 4 total nights, and they find clues. So they'll come around and they okay, are you on 60? No. Are you on 51? No. Yes, I was there. Here's a clue. And so the players will deduce, okay, well, in night 1 he was going this way, so that's what we got. But we'll send 2 people over there, and then we'll send 3 to kind of scout the other. So it's just a fantastic original hidden movement. and I've loved it ever since I've had it. And the Dear Boss expansion just adds more. Like, and they have a bunch of different ways. Oh, hey, if you think in your group that it's too easy to get away, well, here's a bunch of variants that you can add to the police officers to give them special abilities, or vice versa. If Jack's having a hard time trying to escape and the police officers are winning all the time, here's stuff you can give Jack, or here's if you just want to add more stuff. So Letters from Whitechapel probably will always be on the list. So that's my 82.
Cool. All right. My 82 is brand new to the list.
Ooh,
it's actually I had to shoehorn it into my top 100 because I've only had it for like maybe a month and a half.
Yeah. And when did
what's
this done? I remember you were done before me.
I was, and then I had to kind of do a little shoehorning on a couple of stuff that I'd played when I was trying to finish out the 2020.
Yep, exactly. That's what I was doing. Because I kept pushing. You're like, hey man, I'm done. When are we doing them? And I'm like, dude, I got like 18 games I need to play. Give me a couple weeks.
This one is a solo-only game, and it is from CGE called Under Falling Skies.
Okay. I didn't know that was solo only.
Oh gosh, yes, and it's so good.
Okay.
This one is it has a neat little story behind it because in 2019 there was a competition trying to create a 9-card nano game, and this one won the competition.
The micro game.
Yeah, so it was like a 9. Okay. I think the parameters were you could only have 9 cards, and it was print and play contest, right? Now,
all right.
This one's the winner of it. Now, don't think this has 9 cards. This is a bigger game now because CGE got it and they created it, and it has dice and all this stuff to it now. So it's got a lot of stuff in the box. But pretty much what you're doing is this game sets up, and think of like the old arcade game where the aliens are kind of coming down to the deal, Space Invaders or whatever. But anyways, so what's happening, there's a mothership at the very top of the board, and there's these ships that'll start tracking down, and you have these dice, and then at the very bottom of the board is like the city that you're trying to protect. And you're placing dice underneath because you're doing research actions. So you're placing dice underneath the ground level, and where you place dice will give you certain actions. It'll give you energy to be able to shoot. But whatever number is on that dice when you put it in there is how many spaces the ship in that column will move down. So you're placing dice to be able to do actions, gain resources, but it's also making those ships come down closer to your base.
All right.
You lose if your base gets destroyed. You lose if the mothership gets to this one certain threshold. What's cool about this game, though, is like there's just a basic setup version, but then it also comes with a multi-tier campaign that lets you run through all these different cities, and there's different setups, and there's a story with it, and it's replayable, of course. But you just have to, you choose your action, and that's the big crux of it. You have to really think, because whatever action you choose is going to, every time you choose an action, it's going to make somebody advance on you.
Oh, interesting.
So you have to, like, if you really need energy to be able to fire your lasers, and you only have this one deal, you put it, if it's a 4, then that ship and that deal is going to come 4 right at you, and stuff. Wow. And everything. So it's like, it's a very tense solo experience, this game. And if you see the board, it's just like a really long, narrow type board.
I was looking at pictures on it.
Yeah, and it's it's a cheap game, and this came out the exact same day as Lost Ruins of Arnak, both CGE games.
Gotcha.
I bought them both at the same time.
And this didn't make your list for 2020, huh?
No.
Wow.
No, it was pretty close, but like I said, I mean, it's 80 something right now. Like if I would have gotten more, because I haven't played the campaign a ton,
Yeah.
If I would have played more of the campaign, it very well could have. But it's a cheap game too. It's like MSRP is like $29. So I mean, you're going to be able to get it for pretty cheap. But I just like the story because it came from a 9-card a print and play contest, and then they CGE fleshed it out.
That is pretty cool
and stuff.
CGE, man, we gotta keep the flame alive. Like
yes.
They're the only ones so far that don't do Kickstarter.
Right.
And their production's still through the roof. So I don't know what keeps them on there, but they're I didn't know about that. I remember seeing it. Yeah. And I was like, oh, all right, yep.
Well, because I kept seeing the title and I kept thinking about that one TV show, the Falling Skies or whatever. There was a sci-fi with aliens. there was I think it was called Falling Skies. So every time I saw this title, I kept thinking it was that. But no, it's an excellent game.
Yeah, I can't add this to the list of games to try because it's solo only.
Well, you could borrow it.
I guess you can let me borrow.
Yeah.
Let's play together. We'll do that. The scene from Ghost with the pottery scene. You'll just be behind me.
We'll just edit that out. Don't worry.
But awesome. Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye out for this. That sounds fun. Well, because the theme reminds me of this game. All the games that we're talking about are this one, flip ships.
Oh, flip ships.
Now this is that's a dexterity course where you flip your ships to try and land, but it has that same Galaga Invaders theme where it's like ships are moving down and they damage the city and you eventually lose, but they have a big mothership that you try and flip tokens in to deal damage. That's actually the only dexterity game I have because it's so much fun. So
this one's very intense.
I gotta check this one out
as you get going. It's a good one.
Awesome. All right, and the last one for this segment is ending on a positive note because this game went up. Last year it was 92, and I guess it wasn't on my list in 2018. But it is probably the epitome of a Marvel game, legendary Marvel deck building game.
Yeah.
This is your like you've mentioned others. This is that. It is a deck build. You have a row of market cards that you buy, and then there's a row of where the enemies are coming out. But by God, there's just everything for this. If it's Marvel, it is in this game. I can almost 99% guarantee it's in it in some way or another, with all the villains, all the henchmen, all the factions, and all the heroes. They're in this fucking game.
Well, and I think the thing with this game that makes it unique is the scheme, a huge amount of schemes. It's like having 200 versions of this game. It's this.
Yeah, and so for people who don't know, the schemes are essentially the scenario, like the rules you're going to be playing with. Now, of course, with how much there is, they're not all winners. I mean, they're all unique, but they're not all super fun to play. But yeah, essentially what you do is you pick 5 heroes that you want to play with. I mean, you can pick those 5. Iron Man, Spider-Man, Hulk, Captain America, and Wolverine. And then you pick a villain. Name one. It's in there. And then he has a certain number of henchmen that you shuffle all those cards together. Well, you shuffle the heroes together to make the market deck, and then you shuffle the henchmen, and they come out and deal damage. And then there's also, what do they call it? Essentially, like a card that the villain has a special ability, and his goes off.
The Master Strike.
Master Strike. That's it. I mean, yeah, the game's not super thematic. I mean, you can definitely make it thematic. It does give you enough to use your own imagination. It's not so dry. But yeah, you're making a deck of different heroes, but essentially what it comes down to is you're playing all these cards to buy more cards or to get more attack power to destroy the enemy. But they've done with later expansions, they've made it more thematic with different abilities that certain cards have. Like, I mean, World War Hulk has one. I believe that's where it has the Hulkbuster armor for Iron Man, and you're trying to build that and assemble that to once you get those working together, then you deal a lot more damage. Man, I mean, they just keep releasing expansion after expansion. Like, newest one I think is Into the Cosmos, which
There's
has
two more that are getting ready to come out.
yeah, like it's I mean, this one adds Adam Warlock, Quasar, and I mean, people I don't even know. Like,
Right.
it's Squirrel Girl, I think, is a character you can play as, or at least she's in that split where, you
Right.
know, the cards were had two of them. I'm pretty sure she's on one of them.
She's one of the characters, yeah.
You can play Gray Hulk. You can play fucking Stan Lee. I'm pretty sure he's a character. He's not, but yeah.
No,
This
but you
is
can.
one
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's just. I mean, it's. If I had to guess, it's definitely probably higher on your list.
Maybe.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun. That I like this one a lot. So my number 81, Legendary, a Marvel deck building game.
All right. Good choice. My number
I
81
think
is
this
a
is one
deck
game
builder. What's up?
well, I was gonna say I think this is one I don't have sleeved yet.
Oh, I do. My God.
You have it sleeved?
Yes.
Ooh. Yeah, I have every Arkham Horror LCG card sleeve. That's
Yeah.
and Smash Up. Slowly but surely. Like, I used to never see a point, but basically, if a game requires you to shuffle a lot, I'm sleeving it.
Yeah. Yep. That's how I do it too. So, all right. My
All right.
81 is an IP game with deck building. That's its primary deal. It was 55 2 years ago. It was 92 last year, and it's 81 this year. And that is Harry Potter
Wow.
Hogwarts Battle.
Huh.
Um,
I expect this one to actually fall off your list.
it's a deck builder. I'm a sucker for deck builders. I mean, plus my oldest daughter's gotten back on the Harry Potter kick, so we've actually been playing this one. So no, it's you play through the books. I mean, that's pretty much the unique part of this is that there's these boxes, you know, that have different cards and different, maybe some add dice and some add different stuff in it. And you do book one, you choose, you have your normal 4 characters, you choose one of them, they have a special ability, you do your normal deck building, and there's going to be a stack of bad guys that you're trying to defeat. You're trying to defeat all the bad guys before all the evil track fills up. I can't remember what exactly they call it, but so then, like, after you beat book 1, then you open up book 2, add that stuff to it. It change you at certain points, like, you'll get new character cards that'll upgrade them. Like, they start off as the little kids, you know, and then you get up. But that's every book you keep going, that stack of bad guys keeps getting bigger. So the games keep getting longer and more complex as you work your way through all the books, up until the very last book where you have to take out all the Horcrux and stuff before you can even take apart and stuff. And
this is one that you said doesn't get difficult till like book 4, right?
It picks up, right? Now, when you do the expansion, the monsters expansion or whatever, that adds a couple more like storylines into it. I haven't even beaten one of those. Of course, I haven't played them a ton, but those are really hard. And then there's another expansion that came out maybe a couple months ago. I don't have that one yet, but I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan. But I am a big deck building fan, and when you can throw a little bit of story into a deck builder, and what's cool is like some cards that you buy on in this game will have like when you play the card, you get to roll dice and you get that resource, you know, so it kind of throws a little bit more to it, you know, and it's fully cooperative because it's pretty difficult, you know, once you get to a certain point. But yeah, I mean, it's a solid game. It's USAopoly came out with it, and it's it has stock art from the and stuff, but that doesn't bug me on a simple game like this. I mean, it will on some, but this one's fine because I don't really care about Harry Potter a whole lot.
True.
So I mainly play it just because it's a deck builder with a little bit of theme to it. So, but yeah, that's my 81 Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle.
Neat. All right, so that's it for this segment, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. Stick around for the rest of our top 100. The games are only going to get better from here on out. Let us know what you think of these games in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.